I'm going to be demonstrating a use case for our program/game that our group created this semester. This is our midterm deliverable. I'm going to be running the program, and the user is presented with the main menu. For this use case, we're going to be navigating the armory, so we'll select armory from the main menu, which closes and opens the next frame, the armory. Immediately, the user is presented with a sleek looking GUI. Even if there are blank fields, the user can assume that they'll be populated eventually. So just for this scenario, we implemented 3 different types of weapons. We have a sword, longsword, and dagger. When the user selects the type of weapon, this field right here is going to be populated with the necessary information, statistics, and strengths and weaknesses about the weapon. This field over here is the user's current inventory, which can be seen by refreshing the inventory. These weapons are previously hard-coded in, just because I've been working with them. So in order to add weapons, the user would select a weapon from the left side and then hit the add button and then refresh their inventory, and sword was added to the 3rd slot because that's the next available inventory slot. I'll go ahead and add 2 daggers, 1, 2, and refresh my inventory, and I've got 2 more daggers. Just to show a edge case, I'll add several more daggers and nothing will be populated into here. Now, if the user wants to remove items, they would simply select the item from the weapons on the left, hit the remove button, and refresh their inventory. It would remove the first instance of that type of weapon. So we've got 2 more swords. I'll go ahead and remove 1 sword and refresh the inventory, and it frees up the first slot. I can select dagger and remove 1 dagger, and it would remove the first dagger. And I can fill my inventory with a bunch of more long swords now. Let's get rid of this sword, get rid of this dagger, and add more long swords. Now the user has a full inventory of long swords. I'm going to go ahead and exit the armory and go back to the main menu, and then go back to the armory and refresh my inventory. The user will notice that we've implemented some sort of storage for their selections. This is just to keep, it's for persistence basically. If the program were to be closed and run again, and we open the armory, the user can continue from where they started.
Hello, this is Sam Sisden, continuing the use case begun by Ryan. So, the user has gone to the armory, now they're going to want to play. So, we go to single player. Now, you can see the player's equipment here. There's only 1 piece of equipment here for now. We will be integrating ways to take more than 1 piece of equipment and choose between them. And the enemy, the user can see, also has equipment. It's randomly generated upon initialization. Currently, it's only the longsword and the dagger, which works very well for our testing purposes. So, the longsword has a higher stat value than the sword in the type that the sword is, because when you attack, it takes the type of your weapon and compares it against the stat of that type for the enemy's weapon. And as you can see, longsword wins in this situation. So you lost, it gives you this message, and increments a loss counter. We can leave to go back to the main menu. Click on it again. Enemy has the dagger. We know that the sword has a higher stat than the dagger. You win. Nice moves. When you win or lose, it should send you back to the main menu automatically, but for testing purposes, in order to make sure you see this message and prove that the program is in fact doing what we say it's doing, that function has been removed for now.
This is our project, The Grand Adventures Reflection Presentation. Some of the features that we are missing are the statistics page, the rest of the weapons, and the co-op function. On the statistics page, we're going to probably have a win and loss counter and possibly a ratio from wins to losses and a flee counter. And then from the weapons page, we're also planning on adding in official weapon statistics so that when you click on the weapon, you can see their stats. And we are planning on adding more weapons since there's only 3 weapons and all those weapons are one type of weapon. When we are potentially going to add more weapons from different categories. And the final function that we are currently missing is the co-op function, where you'll be able to have multiple character saves from different people, and you'll be able to have multiple characters fighting enemies at the same time. Features that we have completed so far in this project are the main menu, the combat screen, and the armory. The main menu doesn't have that many features, but what it does do is bring you to the other pages or screens whenever you click their corresponding buttons. The combat screen's main features at the moment are the enemy generation and with either a dagger or a longsword, and whether you win or lose if you attack. And it also lets you flee, which sends you back to the main menu. The armory's current features include 3 different weapons, which are the sword, the dagger, and the longsword, and letting you add those weapons to your inventory and having them properly placed in their specific category. In order to divide the work among all 4 of us evenly, we decided each of us should be in charge of one of the 4 screens. Adam chose the combat screen, Ryan chose the armory screen, Nathan chose the statistics screen, and I, Bailey, chose the main menu screen. Although all 4 do work somewhat, the main working features as of right now are in the combat screen and the armory screen, which is why those were shown in the demo. Adam built the combat system, which assigns the enemy either a dagger or a longsword, and decides whether you beat it with your weapon or not when you attack, and design the flee button to send you back to the main menu. Ryan, in the armory screen, developed the armory and inventory where it shows what category each weapon is and their statistics and whether or not you want to add them to your inventory or not. Although things are going smoothly as of right now, some challenges have arisen. The first one is connecting the menus together. This is because each of us programs differently and labels our IDs differently. This makes it confusing when you're trying to connect the menus together because since each of us labels them differently, we have to constantly figure out what was labeled what. The next problem has been communication between team members. We haven't been setting good enough times ahead of time for when we should meet, and because of that, our schedules keep conflicting with each other's and we all can't meet at once. The final problem that has arisen is sharing work and helping each other over the internet. This is because it's hard to tell sometimes which file that we've sent to each other is the most recent one, and trying to figure out a problem that someone else is having can be difficult since you can't see the program yourself and what line they are pointing to specifically.